Hey everyone, today I'm going to be sharing a 124 card Red Grange set from 1934, his last year playing football. This is the Monday Morning Coach. It came in 2 decks, and Red Grange would have been featured on any type of football game like this in 1934. He was an absolute icon. Just going to share a couple of each with you, and then Mrs. Hodges is going to read a short story on Red Grange. And today is actually Red Grange's birthday. And he was ranked as the #1 college football player of all time by ESPN. These are just in remarkable condition. I'm going to show 3 from this set as well, and then read a short story on Red Grange. It's a really cool action photo. And one more here. And now I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Hodges.
Hi everyone, it's story time with Mrs. Hodges. Red Grange, the Galloping Ghost. Although over a quarter century has passed since he played, Harold Red Grange is still accepted as the greatest broken field runner in football. During the 3 years he played at halfback for the University of Illinois, Grange ran up an awesome total of yardage gained in carrying the ball. And so much did he capture the imagination of the public that record crowds turned out whenever Illinois appeared. When he became a professional, it was the same story. The magnetic and swift-running Ghost brought out the first 70,000 crowd in the history of the pay-for-play game. There was little in Red Grange's childhood that gave promise of greatness to come. When he was 8, he seemed doomed to a life of inactivity, for the Grange family doctor told his father that young Harold had a bad heart and should be kept from playing any strenuous games whatsoever. But somehow Red outgrew his physical shortcomings. As a schoolboy at Wheaton, Illinois, he won 16 letters in football, baseball, basketball, and track. As a college player, Red was to put his little hometown on the map when he worked as a helper on an ice cream truck during summer vacations and came to be known far and wide as the Wheaton Iceman. He was a big, modest kid when he first entered the University of Illinois as a freshman with an athletic scholarship. Turning out for football, he saw 200 other candidates for the team. Red's first impulse was to pack up and go home. He didn't see himself competing with the big gang of Huskies already out for the squad. And Red's beginning was pretty much what he expected. The kid who had done so well at Wheaton seemed completely unable to run at all. He was so bewildered and tongue-tied that he could not explain why. Soon enough, however, the reason was discovered. Someone had issued the big boy from Wheaton a pair of shoes that were much too small for him. Every step he had to take was accompanied by excruciating pain. When they finally gave Red Grange a proper pair of shoes, the coach at Illinois began to see things, for there was no stopping the Galloping Ghost once he had a football in his hands. The first time in a Frosh varsity scrimmage that he returned a punt, he shifted through the entire varsity to a touchdown, and Bob Zupke, varsity coach, tabbed the boy as a future great. The records that Red Grange set as a college player have never been surpassed. From the very first time he stepped on the gridiron for Illinois, he was a sensation. Playing 20 games in 3 years for the Fighting Illini, Grange scored 31 touchdowns and gained over 2 miles of ground, a record that will probably stand as long as football is played. One of his finest achievements came on October 18, 1924, at the formal dedication of the vast new Memorial Stadium. With 69,000 spectators on hand, Grange handled the ball 5 times against Michigan in the first 12 minutes of the game and made 4 touchdowns. Grange played his last game for Illinois in 1925. He had been selected All-American 3 times in 1923, 1924, and 1925. And when he left campus, the number 77, which he had worn as a player there, was retired forever in honor of the greatest back the university had ever had. The sensational Galloping Ghost then became a professional. Here again, his appearance on the scene revitalized the pro sport. To begin with, he earned a cool $12,000 for the first afternoon he played with the Chicago Bears. Then the great runner went on to tour of the nation, playing football against all-star teams and attracting huge crowds to see him cavort on the gridiron. The Galloping Ghost picked up $100,000 a season for a couple of years as professional sport of football took hold with the public through his efforts. As a pro, Grange was a new sensation. Although he was still the great runner he had always been, Red won new respect for his phenomenal defensive ability, being selected before all the other backfield men as the finest defensive back in the game. Grange played professionally for 10 years before quitting the game to become a highly successful radio and television broadcaster of college and professional football. There have been few backs like Red Grange in the long history of American football. Fast, elusive, a genius of evasion and pace, the redhead from Illinois awakened a whole world to the glory of the gridiron. It is from the era of Red Grange, the Galloping Ghost, that the game can measure its growth to the point where it is now, one of our greatest spectator sports. Like all the others in the other fields who made the 1920s the golden age of sport, Red Grange was cast in a heroic mold. Apparently, the mold was broken, for his likeness has not been since.
Thank you, Mrs. Hodges, and thank you everyone for watching, and enjoy the hobby.